we're supposed to have other people contributing to that that fountain of understanding and godly wisdom as well. We're not supposed to just, have ourselves and just our parents. We're supposed to have an extension out from there, because God has put in his body severally as he wills, which means basically the way he's decided in his wisdom to distribute among the members of his body gifts, right? And one of them is teaching and another is wisdom, right? So we know that God's put that there for us for a reason. It's because from the multitude of counselors there is what?
In the multitude of counselors there is
safety, right? So and from other people's perspectives and knowledge base and life experiences, there are different aspects that can be contributed. One person's contribution is put together with another person's slightly different, life experiences and contribution to form a bigger and a broader set of things, like two sets that are complementary within another bigger, two sets that are subsets into a bigger set of wisdom and knowledge and like slightly different perspective, where it is like a facet. Okay, there's the word. So like a facet of like a jewel type thing, right? It's a slightly different view of that. So you bring another face into view where it's cut on the side, brings a slightly different perspective, adds to your overall edification, right? You know how, like, I'm not advocating jewelry or anything, but you know, like how they take a rock, right? And geometrically, do you ever wonder why you'll see that little shape or certain shapes of certain gemstones over and over again?
Mm-hmm.
You know why, right?
Mm-mm.
Do you think they just like have a pattern they want to carve out of it that like's popular?
Now that you're mentioning that, then it makes me think there's more
It catches
to it.
eye.
Yeah, well, that, but physically, in the physical realm, there's patterns, right? You ever see galaxies? It's like you'll see the same patterns over and over again.
I think
But
of an Amish quilt and the geometry that is involved with that.
Millions of light years away, right? But yet there's similar shapes, a lot of them. Like the same pattern keeps happening over and over again. The same way in nature you'll see like certain patterns or certain even ratios. Like the same ratios that are in the spiral arms of a galaxy, we've talked about this before, are on a seashell, some of the seashells that are on the shore of the ocean, right?
Glory
So,
to God.
certain gemstones, physically, you tap off the edges and like they form certain exact angles,
Wow.
like
Wow.
just
Wow.
on their own
Oh, wow.
in nature. That's why you'll see a crystal, you'll see those crystal formations where it's like the same at the top. There's 4 sides,
Yeah.
and they're like exactly placed every single time. The top of those pink crystals, Well, that's the same way, that's how they got that diamond shape. It's because like you can replicate that in the gemstone because of the way God made the physics of the universe. Like every time you can like replicate that in the gemstone, it just like will cut off at that angle. Like I'm not sure exactly how that works because I never really looked into it a lot, but so certain geometric patterns emerge every time, and I think that's how God set it up within his body. It's like you'll see the same stuff if you stick around long enough, like replicated over and over with inside the assembly, certain even types of people that he seems to gift with certain things, like over and over, certain personality types that do certain things and whatever. And also certain, he's set up things to keep all that kind of flowing and checks and balances that if people are spiritual enough, they'll actually get. But if they're heady and high-minded and full of pride, they turn all that and it becomes evil and weird and clergy-like and all that. So it's super important to have the right understanding, or else you could think that you're supposed to be part of, like, for instance, a clergy system, and all of a sudden you're the one doing the little hand signs, or, the little, what is this, right? But it can become like, even the things of God can become perverted in the hands of men, and then they take them and use them for their own devices and self-promotion and every other kind of their own
Aggrandizement?
used for their own it's a very common thing.
Not promotion.
Purposes, agendas,
Kingdoms, many.
yeah, okay, so yeah, super important when you're young, get the right perspective, get the right wisdom on the things that count a lot, and you can go a really long way and be like super strong and super useful yourself. So he made me